We are live! I'm joking. Sport and Chat, here we go. Today's podcast is with two good friends, Scott Walker and Gavin Baxter. I've got Gav on the phone. Say hello, Gav.
Howdy.
And say hello, Scott.
Hey, dude.
What up? Today pretty much is topic of NFL. Kind of championship weekend, looking at the two games. We're going to try and make Scott cry. And then, we'll look ahead to the Super Bowl. So I'm guessing these guys obviously watched the games, you know what happened. So we're going to jump on to... I suppose that would be a good start for the podcast. I hear Gav laughing there.
I know
You know what happened. Good man. Denver overcoming Mr. Walker's Patriots. Would you like to start, Wack? Or?
No, I'll let the floor go.
Gav, the floor's yours. What? Yeah, as you can tell, we're...
on a actual point, Denver's defense was awesome. Brady got his ass kicked left, right, and centre. He could not move. Oh, he made my night.
The defense was absolutely phenomenal. I read something about it happened 20 times, which is like the
23
most,
times?
which is like the most since like 2006.
Yeah.
He got harassed like quite a lot during the season because his O-line was like one of the worst that I've ever seen in my life. It's kind of hard. You lose your left tackle for the season, your first round left tackle, but it was just unbelievable that Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware were just
in the backfield.
Unreal. They were in the backfield before the ball
was snapped. A few times, yeah.
That's what it seemed like, but they weren't.
Yeah.
They were just...
I mean, at some point, I think in the first quarter, the commentators were saying that the leading rusher for the Patriots was Tom Brady.
It was 13 yards, I think it was.
The Patriots have been one-dimensional all season. It's kind of hard as well. You lose Dion Lewis, who came out of nowhere as a scat back, looked really good. Lost LeGarrette Blount as well, who was at least a guy who could, churn some yards for you, and he proved it last season in the playoffs. Burned the Colts for about 200 or whatever. So
I remember that. He just
decent,
ham.
but they're just totally one-dimensional, and the Broncos played to that. They only rushed 3. They dropped another guy back into coverage. So it meant that Gronk could get double teamed. They've got no one to throw on the outside, so it was like they played a perfect game plan defensively. Tremendous.
They were awesome. I mean, sometimes when you saw the replays, how many guys they had in the box in the offensive line, Denver did, and then every single one of them dropped back, and it's just 3 guys rushing. They're like, what?
Yeah.
And then it's still DeMarcus Ware and that still harassing Tom Brady with a 3-man rush.
I kind of expected it. It was one of the top defences, and they led the league in sacks, so it wasn't like a surprise. It was just the way in which they did it. But
Brady would have been sore.
Yeah, but equally,
Edelman didn't play that bad.
Nah.
And Gronk played all right.
Yeah, Gronk was phenomenal. But equally,
I think that last touchdown by the Pats was awesome, man. That was double coverage.
I was honestly on my knees praying for both fourth down situations. Couldn't believe that big 4th and 10, and they obviously got a big gain out of that. And
double
then
coverage.
It just looked, when he threw that, it just looked like it was going to go out the back of the end zone. I thought Gronk was even maybe out his cell, and then he just comes in, makes a play. But it all came down to the sort of fact that they needed the 2-point conversion. At the start of the game, it didn't seem like it was going to be too big a factor, because you thought there's a million other things are going to happen in the game, but no one deferred from their game plan up until that point, and then, well, it kind of did come down to that, and it was just obviously disappointing. It was sort of anticlimactic, it seemed like it should tie and it should go to overtime. It was a really good game.
You're saying it was a really good game because the Pats were on the front foot.
No, but it was a good game to watch. It's probably neutral. It was a
close
game.
It was a close game.
But I just mean, to tie it up and then go to overtime, it would have been nice. It felt as though the game deserved that.
Yeah.
But
it was a bit of a heartbreaker, to be honest. And as I say, I don't know how much research you've done, Gav. Zero, obviously, but I had looked at this sort of breakdown of the Denver's offense here, and basically they started the game with an 11 plays, 83-yard drive, yeah, and then after that, this is their summary, like, so quickly run through it. 4 plays for 3 yards punt, 4 plays for 6 yards punt. They had just 3 plays, 16 yards, and then they had the touchdown through the Von Miller interception. 3 yards, 3 plays, 5 yards punt, 4 yards punt, 6 plays, 23 yards field goal, 3 for 4, 7 for 34. All these are punts. 3 for -1. They had 1 decent drive later on for 10 plays, 48 yards for a field goal, and then after that it was three and outs pretty much.
I want to highlight that, like,
so
everyone
Pat's defense was doing
everyone
something.
talked about the Denver defense, but the Patriots defense played phenomenally.
Yeah.
And if you turned around and said you're going to hold the Broncos to 20 points, you would have probably taken that, given that the Patriots normally have quite a potent offense. You knew it was going to be tough, but like the way that they played after obviously losing the first touchdown was pretty phenomenal, and I think they benefited from field position the whole game. The punter was on point, like, constantly punting within the 20. Patriots were starting inside the 10, at the 5. It was really hard for the Patriots to get anywhere near, and they were punting. Denver was benefiting from short fields, getting field goals out of that, and obviously the Brady interception was just a given for them as well.
Yeah, bit of a weird one. How do you think Brady played? Simple question.
Did they even get a chance to play?
His offensive line, honestly, that was the worst game that I've witnessed an offensive line.
But under the circumstances, I'm saying, not the offensive
under
lines,
the circumstances,
how did Brady play?
I remember the Bills game earlier in the year, and remember it was sort of a lower percentage in terms of his completion. He only completed like 50% as opposed to his high 60s normally. But a lot of that was throwing it away on purpose or throwing it into the ground to just get an incompletion and not risk anything. His decision making was a bit questionable on a couple of things. Like, he doesn't normally make the bad throw for the interception. But I think he was frustrated, one, with his offensive line, and just two, the moment. But in saying that, they kept in the game and they made some amazing throws to keep them in the game. But there's multiple things that you can look at, and obviously the Gostkowski misconversions, huge, but maybe it doesn't feel like that at the time, but it came back into it.
I mean, if there's one quarterback you want when you're losing, when 2 minutes to go, it's going to be Tom Brady. And he did actually really do it. And he did alright, but I text you after he threw a certain interception, and I was like, what the jet is going on?
It was just really uncharacteristic, because if he doesn't throw that, even if you punt it, it's fine. It's still 7-6 at that point. It was maybe more than that, I can't remember. But yeah, you just got to be smarter in that situation. I'm sure he's angry with himself because that gave them their shortest field. But
that was the reason I asked, because looking back at it, I didn't think he played that bad. I think he overthrew a couple of opportunities during the game, which you would probably put your hat on your house and all the rest of it on Brady making on a regular game. But I think that defense totally got into his head a little bit, they kind of made him speed up a little bit. So
you can't question his effort and his heart, because they kept in the game, he kept making throws, he was getting hit a lot. Yeah. That doesn't tell the whole story. He got sacked 4 times, but like you said, he got hit that many times, hurried the other times. He dropped back about 50 odd times, 56 times or something. So
I'm looking at it now, he dropped back 56 times, so 56 attempts. He still ended up with 310 yards completed. And then even Gronk had 8 receptions, 144 yards. You kidding me?
He's a beast.
I think Michael Irvin had picked that as his sort of bold prediction. I think 137 was the record for a tight end in a championship game. So he broke the record, but really,
it means nothing.
But it came up huge, like to get yourself open, but could possibly have been open on that last conversion play. But Brady's getting hurried. That was the worst of it. That final play, you think this is the moment that, as an offensive lineman, you've got to try your hardest, and DeMarcus Ware was like in his face as soon as he turned round. It was
just, as you say, it was a bit of a heartbreaker.
But yeah, it was tough as well because it was in Denver. That crowd's really loud, and that's what it was, like the snap count as well. It's hard for the offensive line to play with the snap count.
So does then that come back down to you dropping games during the season that you didn't have home court?
Well, absolutely.
Home field.
Well, they dropped 4 games, and one was the Philly game, which was like sort of out of nowhere. You didn't expect it, but there was a couple of botched punts or special teams plays on that. So these things happen. But the final 2 games, Jets, who were hungry for a playoff spot, that was a huge loss in that regard. But they were playing for a playoff spot, and the Patriots were in a position to win the game, and then gave the Jets the ball in overtime, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then the game against the Dolphins, there was just no effort in that game. Trying not to get hurt. Brady just kept handing the ball off, so you're like...
It's just weird, and I don't want to say Belichick got out-coached, but I just don't think the game plan, like, I know the Patriots, you've been one-dimensional, but surely you have to keep that defence honest by at least handing the ball off 10, 20 times to a generic running back who you tell him, you make a couple of yards every time and you do not fumble the ball. Yeah. But
the thing is, the Patriots, they do utilise the running game in such a way that they do little dump-off passes. So they did utilise Brandon Bolden, James White got a few catches out of the backfield. Yeah. But your Amendola, Edelman, they are utilised like running backs. It's about making a short play and letting them get the yards after the catch. Yeah. So sometimes you don't see it in the rushing yards game, but it's used that way. But yeah, once the Patriots went behind in the game, I think that was a big thing. Because I think if they jumped out to a lead, which was probably going to be a big factor, and asking Peyton Manning to throw Denver back into the game, that changes the whole dimension.
Yeah. Just obviously, we've not really touched on Denver for obvious reasons, but like, how do you think Manning played then on his? I know he was no turnovers, 2 touchdowns. Was that 170 yards or 200?
176, 17 32.
I'll take that.
Right. Managed the game, didn't he?
I think that's the key. He just managed, and as I say, I ran through their offense, and there's loads of 3 and out, short, and obviously you mentioned the short field. They're punting the ball, but he managed the game, and I think, and you put that all into kind of account, and the Pats still had a chance to win the game at the end. It just kind of shows you, that that offense isn't as kind of potent as it probably could be. And I suppose now they've got 2 weeks off to go and look into that, but
it hasn't been
all year, yeah.
Which is strange because this is the same sort of personnel that set all the records that couple of years ago. So it's a bit weird, but obviously Manning has gotten older. He's lost a bit of velocity in the football, but he's still Peyton Manning. He's an intelligent guy, and he's going to make good throws. I remember when he scampered off for a first down. Oh my god.
It's like the slowest breakout I think I've ever seen.
Peyton Manning running for a first down.
Oh dear, you would have got some good odds at the bookies on that.
But compared to Brady, when Manning got pushed at the pocket, his decision making of throwing the ball away was better. You had Tom Brady throwing the ball into silly places and then end up getting intercepted.
Yeah. I just think, to be fair, I think he had a little bit more time to throw the ball away than Brady did. But hey-ho, anyway, I suppose we should move on before we actually do make Wack cry on these old pads.
I'm all cried out.
We all cried out. Panthers crushed the Cardinals. It's the only way to describe it. I thought it would have been a wee bit more competitive, but
I wish it was.
I'm just going to throw this out, and obviously we can jump on the Panthers bandwagon in a second, saying how good they are. But Carson Palmer looked out of his depth, in my opinion, and I just thought, I was like, this boy was. You're talking about the regular season. He was in the discussion anyway for being league MVP. He had a very solid year, and the last two playoff games, he's just looked terrible. It's like the I don't know. It's like the lights came on and he's went, crap. I'm thinking I maybe not as much time, or I don't know. What do you think?
To be honest, I wasn't surprised with the result. Maybe the magnitude of it. I didn't expect the score to be quite as much as it was, but I honestly thought the Panthers would easily win that game, and it's because of Carson Palmer's inability to move. I just thought, by seeing how they played against the Seahawks the week before, I know the Seahawks came back into the game, but Panthers were playing really conservatively at that point. But the way that defence was playing, I just didn't see how Carson Palmer would cope with all that, and it was shown 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
That sucks. Simple, I'm not even good.
I know you're trying to throw your team back into the game, but this Panthers team, they just seem to come out firing. See the way that they run out of the tunnel?
Yeah.
They're just absolutely pumped for the game, and then jumped out to a 17-0 lead in the first quarter, and you just went, all right,
game over.
Game set match.
I know, it's just that. I don't know if it's just that kind of they've got the fire underneath them, but calm, and as you say, they come out that tunnel, and I suppose home court means a lot. Home field, it means a lot. But they just and it was like that. We watched the Seattle game.
There's buzz in that place, and I think it was obviously apparent that when they jumped out to a lead this time, someone got to that sideline and went, right, well, let's keep going.
Yeah. 49-15 is just a bit of an ass.
The Panthers are just the most exciting team to watch.
They've got a bit of everything. They've got a pass rush. They've got 2 interior linemen that are amazing.
Yeah.
Short and Star. Luke Kuechly is an absolute baller.
He's awesome. He's brilliant.
And then they've got, the boys in the backfield as well. Norman, probably the best corner this year. They lost somebody in the secondary, but still stepped in. They done all right.
Yeah, it's kind of frightening, how they just manhandled. And obviously, after the Seattle game, they obviously took the foot off the gas, and Seattle came back and gave them a wee scare. But they had their foot on the necks of the Cardinals this whole game, and just didn't give them a chance to sort of breathe at all. But it's going to be, I don't know. I'm saying it's going to be interesting. It's a Super Bowl, so it's one game. Anybody, you got anything else to say on? We've totally skipped the Panthers Cardinals game there in terms of jumping into any form of analysis or anything. Gav, you got anything you want to add?
No, I think they were looking at what's it up. This first quarter, 17-9, on the ground, good big.
Fair enough. Straight enough. Wag?
Larry Fitzgerald, he's an absolute baller.
Larry Fitzgerald.
The way that he played in the game before was tremendous. So, just I think props to him.
A wee shout out to Larry.
Before we slag the Cardinals too much.
Yeah.
But it was a wee bit of a shame that they went out in such a manner, because they've had a great season and probably didn't expect to get to today or no one probably did. But Bruce Arians and they'll be back. But it's just how much longer Carson Palmer's got left in him. You know.
Simple as that.
What age is Carson Palmer?
I don't know. He seems to have been here for years.
I think he's about mid-30s, mid to late. Maybe 36, Gav.
Yeah, we've still got a year up to then, maybe.
Think so? 36.
Boom.
36-year-old. There you go. I don't know. I just can't get on board with Carson Palmer at all. I've just always been in that way. But anyways, as I said, we've totally blown over them anyway because it was a total blowout. We hadn't even mentioned Cam. Actually, we didn't mention Cam.
It's like you don't need to.
Yeah.
You don't need to. The guy's a beast. The guy is an absolute beast.
Yeah.
He's
Russian touchdown that he dived into the end zone. There's just not a franchise quarterback in the world that does that kind of stuff.
Well, the thing is, he didn't even need to. He could have just ran the boy over, but he decided, nah, you know what? I'm going to make a leap here.
He's Superman. He's got to fly.
Nah, Deb. Nah, a bit of beast. But what's your thoughts on the Super Bowl then? Well, we've got the new wave of Cam Newton versus the old experienced head of Peyton Manning. I wrote down here, this is one wee thing I wrote. I was like, I think the 2 weeks off now actually aids Denver. Rather than, I think the Panthers being quite young, I don't know how many of them. The Panthers have only been in the Super Bowl once, it was about 12 years ago, and they got beat off your Pats. I can't see many of them being there at that point. So the Super Bowl experience for most of them is going to be quite new, unless they've obviously played elsewhere. Again, haven't looked into that. But this Denver team, obviously with Manning at the helm, he's been and done it a few times. Not been very successful, but at the same time, he has been won there at least once. There we go. So he knows.
Not just once.
Just once. I know. All right, Mr. Brady. There we go. But I just think the 2 weeks off. I think the Panthers have got to be fired up. They're going to be ready. Like if that game was tomorrow, I think they would have been like ready to rock. You know what I mean? Whereas I think the 2 weeks. All the media, you know, don't get me wrong, they're still going to be hyped for this game, but I think the 2 weeks gives the Denver Broncos more of a fighting chance than we probably give them at this moment in time.
I think that's fair, right? Because Wade Phillips, the game plan that he put ahead against the Patriots was pretty damn good. So, you know, if he can figure a way out to look at tape and try and sort of negate Cam and his running game and things like that, but you never know. But it probably does help. But
yeah. So
do you reckon that Cam and DeMarcus Ware that they can hold the edges on the pass rush and make sure that Cam doesn't release on the ball? Because I don't think they can contain Cam.
No, if you're trying to contain him, you're playing a different game. Because if they're not going for the sack, you know, and then they're ushered out. If Cam takes off, it's going to be quite difficult to contain him all game. Like you can't play that way, otherwise you're never going to actually get to him.
Nice.
But I don't know. Like I don't want to say it's going to be a blowout, and it won't be. But
really?
I think it's going to be a pretty easy win. It might not look that way on the scoreboard, like the team might jump out ahead and they'll come back, but I just can't see how someone's going to beat this Carolina team.
Stick your neck out. Give me a score.
I've not got a score yet.
No, alright, we've got 2 weeks. We'll have a score by the end of the 2 weeks.
Just the way the Panthers are built, even though this Denver defense is tremendous, you know, they're great against the pass, great cornerbacks, Talib and Harris Jr., but they've just got everything. Jonathan Stewart, they were like number one in rushing. Cam, is equally as dangerous in the rushing game. He's proven that he's a great pocket passer, so he's a dual threat there. They've got Ted Ginn, big playability, Greg Olsen, safety blanket. You know, they've got weapons everywhere.
Corey Brown, Corey Brown. Corey Brown the base.
He had a beast day game at the weekend.
Just the way that Denver Broncos offense has been playing, I just don't see them putting enough points up, although the defense will probably hold Cam and company to less than 49. We're not saying that, but
well, they're going to have to keep them under 49.
But I just, in all honesty, I just think it's going to be a Panthers win.
Panthers win. Gav, what you got?
It's going to be a Panthers win. If it's a shootout, Denver have not got enough weapons. Like Scott just rolled off the 3-4 names there, Greg Olsen, Stewart. There's just too many weapons. I mean, if you can stop the pass game, fair enough, but can you stop Stewart? Can you stop Cam running?
Yeah. As I say, they're not going to be able to put as much pressure, because if they come running, then you know Cam's got the ability to leak out and make the first down or get a couple of yards, you know, and then when you're coming, he's got, what is he, 6'4", you know, so he's a big lad, a big strong arm that he can't even. What is he, 6'5"?
6'5", 245 pounds.
You know what I mean? It's
the thing is, they're going to rush more than they did against the Patriots, because because they have the running game. They're going to be able to rush 4 at least, and force Cam to make throws. As long as they are, like Gav said, containing them's the best thing. If they can still rush while keeping a spy on him, whether that's one of the linebackers, but you're taking that guy off someone else, so it's just whether or not Cam can sort of pick and choose his weapons and utilise that.
I can agree. I think, to be honest with you, I would like to see the Panthers win. I think they've been the best team all year, you know, and it's a good way to kind of finish the season with the best team winning.
It would be fair. Because it's been weird with the Broncos. They maintained their status as a sort of top 2-3 team throughout the year in the AFC, despite the play of Peyton Manning, him getting benched, Osweiler coming in, him coming back in. Like, that defence has carried them this whole way, but now you're asking Peyton, who, to be honest, barely got past the Steelers without Antonio Brown, barely got past the Patriots. It's just this team's built and they've been playing so well all year. You just can't see it. Yeah. It'd be nice, you know.
One game, if it's his last song, though, he's going to bombing. You know what I mean? But anyway, what we'll do is we'll just wrap things up. We'll do another podcast before the Super Bowl, maybe the night of the Super Bowl. I'm thinking it could be a bit of a laugh once we kind of know what's going on, and we'll do proper picks and proper time and everything there. But we'll wrap this one up. Gav, cheers, buddy, and Whack again.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, and thanks. Just before I've got about a minute before I'm supposed to finish. I need to get on Twitter at the Sporting Chat, hashtag Sporting Chat, Facebook. Gav wrote a quality blog the other day about his beloved 76ers, so have a wee read at that, and it's on our new website, which is pretty much blasted all over Twitter, but it's thesportingchat.wix.com, simple as that, and Whack will be posting something hopefully over the next 2 years.
Sweet.
But honestly, guys, anybody that's listening, you've managed to get through half an hour of us mumbling about the NFL. You're going to want more. It's as simple as that. So get online and let us know what you think. See ya!